The rain started just after midnight, drumming against the windshield hard enough to blur the highway into streaks of white and red. Mia sits curled in the passenger seat, scrolling through her phone, the blue glow reflecting in her tired eyes. "I'm telling you," Ethan muttered, leaning closer to the windshield. "Florida rain is insane." "You've said that like 6 times. Because it keeps getting worse." Mia smirked faintly but didn't look up from her phone. "At least we're almost there." The GPS estimated another 12 minutes. Outside, the road stretched through dark swampland and scattered pine trees. No gas stations, no restaurants, no lights except occasional roadside reflectors flashing by like blinking eyes. It had been a long drive from Atlanta. They'd left after work hoping to reach the Airbnb before midnight. Traffic and weather turned the trip into a miserable crawl. By the time they exited the highway onto a narrow back road, both were exhausted. "You sure this place has good reviews?" Ethan asked. "Superhost," Mia replied. 5 stars. Everybody said it was peaceful. That usually means isolated serial killer vibes." She laughed softly. "You watch too many horror videos." The road narrowed further until tree branches arched overhead like a tunnel. Rain hammered the roof. Ethan slowed as the GPS voice calmly announced, "You have arrived." The Airbnb stood alone beyond a rusted gate. It was a 2-story white house with a wraparound porch, partially hidden behind massive oak trees draped in Spanish moss. A single porch light glowed warmly through the storm. Mia frowned. "Okay, this is creepier than the photos." "No kidding." Ethan parked beside an old pickup truck already sitting in the driveway. "That must be the host." Mia checked the app. "Yeah, his name's Daniel." As they stepped out into the rain, cold water soaked through their clothes instantly. Thunder rolled overhead while they hurried toward the porch, carrying bags over their heads. Before Ethan could knock, the front door swung open. A man in his late 50s stood there smiling. He was tall and thin, with gray hair combed neatly back and tired-looking eyes that lingered on them just a little too long. "There you are," he said warmly. "Thought maybe the storm swallowed you." "Sorry we're late," Mia said. "No trouble at all." The man's smile widened slightly as he looked directly at Ethan. Then he said something that made both of them freeze. "You two look younger than last time." Silence. Rain crashed behind them. Ethan forced a laugh. "Pretty sure we've never been here before." The host's expression changed instantly. Just for a second, a flicker of confusion. Then he chuckled softly. "Right. Of course. Long week. Come in." Mia and Ethan exchanged a quick glance before stepping inside. The house smelled faintly of old wood and something sweet underneath it, like vanilla candles masking mildew. Warm yellow lights illuminated antique furniture and framed black and white photographs lining the walls. Daniel closed the door behind them. "You picked a bad night to travel," he said. "You can say that again," Ethan replied. Daniel kept staring at them, not rudely, not openly, but enough to make Ethan uncomfortable. "I've got fresh towels upstairs. Kitchen's stocked. Wi-Fi password is on the fridge. You're in the blue room." He paused. Same as before. Another silence. Mia blinked. "Sorry?" Daniel's face stiffened again. Then he smiled. "Just joking." But the joke didn't sound like a joke. He handed them a brass key attached to a faded wooden tag labeled Room 3. "You folks get some sleep." Ethan took the key slowly. Daniel stepped aside toward a dark hallway. For a moment, Ethan noticed something strange. At the end of the hallway sat an old corkboard covered with Polaroid photos. Dozens of them. Some showed smiling guests on the porch. Others showed people fishing by a lake. One photo near the center made Ethan stop walking. A blurry image of a couple standing beside the front gate. It looked exactly like them. Before he could look closer, Daniel spoke again. "Storm's supposed to knock power out tonight," he said calmly. "Don't be alarmed if lights flicker." Then he disappeared down the hallway. Upstairs, the blue room looked normal enough. Large bed, vintage dresser, floral wallpaper, rain tapping softly against the windows. Mia dropped onto the mattress with a sigh. "Okay," she whispered. "That guy is weird. You noticed too? He acted like he knew us." Ethan set their bags down. Probably mixes up guests. Still creepy. The room suddenly flickered dark. Both of them froze. Then power returned. "Great," Ethan muttered. Mia sat up again. "Did you see that photo downstairs? You mean the one that looked like us?" "Yeah, probably coincidence, but even saying it aloud sounded weak." Mia opened the Airbnb app again. "Look, the booking was cheap because we reserved last minute. Maybe he just confused us with another couple." Ethan nodded, though uneasily. Mia suddenly frowned at her screen. "That's weird." "What?" She tilted the phone toward him. Under their current reservation sat another completed booking. Same house, same host, dated exactly 2 years earlier. Ethan stared. No way. The screen clearly showed, "Stay completed, Daniel's Lakeside Retreat, June 14, 16, 2 years ago." Mia laughed nervously. That has to be a glitch. Ethan grabbed the phone. The account history showed payment confirmation, check-in details, and even a 5-star review. Amazing stay, quiet place. Daniel was a wonderful host. The review was posted from Mia's account. "What the hell?" Ethan whispered. "I never wrote that. You sure your account wasn't hacked? For an Airbnb review?" Ethan scrolled further. There were photos attached to the old booking. His stomach tightened. One showed the porch outside, another showed the upstairs hallway, and the last one showed Ethan asleep in the blue room bed. He nearly dropped the phone. "That's impossible." Mia stared in horror. "We've never been here." The lights flickered again. This time they stayed off. Darkness swallowed the room. Rain hammered the windows harder than ever. Downstairs, somewhere in the house, a floorboard creaked, then another. Ethan turned on his phone flashlight. "Mia," she whispered immediately, "we need to leave." A slow sound echoed upstairs. Footsteps, not from below, from the hallway outside their room. Ethan moved toward the door carefully. The footsteps stopped. Silence. He opened the door suddenly. Empty hallway. But at the far end near the staircase, he saw something sitting on the floor. A Polaroid photo, fresh. As if someone had just placed it there. Ethan picked it up. The picture showed Mia standing in the upstairs hallway. Taken seconds ago. Mia's voice trembled behind him. "Ethan." He turned the photo over. Written in faded black ink. "Welcome back." Neither of them slept. They shoved a chair under the bedroom doorknob and sat together on the bed while rain continued outside. At 2:13 a.m., Mia whispered, "Maybe someone hacked my account and used this place before." With fake photos of me sleeping. She had no answer. Ethan kept scrolling through the old booking details. Everything looked legitimate. Same email confirmations, same payment method, same phone number. The booking even included check-in messages between Mia and Daniel. "Can't wait to see you both again this summer." Mia read the message 3 times. "I didn't send this." A sudden thump echoed downstairs. Both of them jumped. Another thump, then silence. Ethan stood carefully. "Stay here." "No, I'm just checking. We are not splitting up." Together they stepped into the hallway with Ethan's flashlight cutting through darkness. The old house groaned around them as wind rattled windows downstairs. They reached the staircase. Halfway down, Ethan froze. The corkboard, the Polaroids. He could see them clearly now in the flashlight beam. Dozens and dozens of guest photos, and near the center, 3 pictures of them. Not lookalikes, them. One photo showed Mia sitting on the porch swing wearing a yellow hoodie. Another showed Ethan standing in the kitchen drinking coffee. The third photo made his blood run cold. It showed both of them asleep in the blue room bed. The date written underneath read June 15th, 2024. 2 years earlier. Mia whispered, "No." The floor creaked behind them. Daniel stood at the bottom of the staircase holding a lantern. The warm glow illuminated his calm expression. "You shouldn't wander at night," he said softly. Ethan's voice sharpened instantly. "Who are you?" Daniel looked genuinely confused. "I'm your host." "How do you have these photos?" Daniel glanced toward the corkboard. "Oh," he smiled faintly. "You left them for me." Mia stepped backward. "That's not funny." Daniel tilted his head. "You really don't remember?" Lightning flashed through the windows, illuminating the house in blinding white for half a second. And for that instant, Ethan noticed something horrifying. Every photograph on the wall had the same couple in them. Them. Different clothes, different poses, different years. Some looked recent, others looked old enough to have faded with time. Daniel's voice remained calm. "You always forget after a while." Ethan grabbed Mia's hand. "We're leaving." Daniel didn't move. "I wouldn't go outside in this storm." "You're insane." "Maybe," Daniel admitted quietly, "but you still came back." Ethan pushed past him toward the front door. It wouldn't open. He yanked harder. Locked. "Open it," Daniel sighed softly. "You said the same thing last time." Mia's breathing quickened. "Ethan." Daniel raised the lantern slightly. "There's something wrong with this place," he said. "I figured that out years ago." Ethan turned slowly. "What are you talking about?" Daniel looked exhausted suddenly. "Older. People arrive here twice." Thunder shook the windows. "Nobody remembers the first visit," he continued. "At least not completely, but the house remembers." Mia shook her head rapidly. No, you're lying." "I wish I was." Daniel motioned toward the corkboard. "I started documenting it after my wife disappeared." The room went silent. "She checked into this house with me in 1998, Daniel said. "1 year later, she came back alone. She didn't remember ever seeing the place before." Lightning flashed again. "She disappeared the second night." Ethan stared at him. "You expect us to believe this?" Daniel met his eyes carefully. "You already do." Because deep down, Ethan did. Tiny fragments had started surfacing in his mind since arriving. A porch swing moving slowly at night, the smell of rain-soaked wood, a feeling of dread. Mia suddenly whispered, "I had a dream about this place." Ethan looked at her. "Last week," she continued, "before we booked it, I dreamed about standing in that hallway." Daniel nodded sadly. "It calls people back." The lights flickered on briefly, and Ethan saw someone standing in the reflection of the hallway mirror upstairs. A woman, watching them. Then darkness returned. Mia screamed. Ethan spun around but saw nothing. Daniel looked upward slowly. "She's awake." "What the hell does that mean?" Ethan shouted. Daniel didn't answer immediately. Instead, he walked toward an old cabinet near the fireplace and removed a thick journal. He handed it to Ethan. Inside were names, dates, photographs, missing persons articles, dozens. Every entry described the same thing: guests returning without memory of prior visits. Some disappeared, some went insane, some were found wandering miles away, unable to explain lost time, and every cycle centered around the house. Mia flipped through pages frantically until she froze. There was an entry for them: Ethan Carter and Mia Reynolds. Stayed June 14th, 2024, returned June 18th, 2026. Underneath, Daniel had written, "This time they seem closer to remembering." Mia looked up horrified. "You knew we were coming?" Daniel nodded slowly. "The house shows me things before people arrive." A loud bang exploded upstairs, then footsteps, running, fast, across the ceiling. Mia clutched Ethan's arm. Daniel whispered, "Don't look at her if you see her." Every instinct in Ethan screamed to run. But outside, the storm had become violent, rain slamming windows sideways while thunder rattled the entire structure. Another bang upstairs, then a woman's laugh. Soft, wet, wrong. Mia covered her mouth. "I want to leave." Daniel suddenly looked terrified for the first time. "She knows you remember." "What is she?" Ethan demanded. Daniel's eyes filled with dread. "I don't know." The lantern flickered violently. Then all the Polaroids on the corkboard began falling one by one onto the floor. Slap, slap, slap. Each photo landed face up. Every single one showed Ethan and Mia. Older photos, newer photos. In some they looked terrified, in others smiling. One photo showed Ethan bleeding from his forehead. Another showed Mia crying in the bathroom mirror. And the final picture, drifting slowly to the floor, showed something that made Ethan's knees weaken. It showed both of them standing beside a woman with long black hair covering her face. Behind them, written on the wall in dark letters, "Don't let her remember." Mia suddenly gasped sharply. A memory hit her like a lightning strike. She stumbled backward, clutching her head. "Mia, I remember," she whispered. Tears filled her eyes instantly. "We were here." Ethan stared. "No." "Yes." Fragments rushed back violently. Summer heat, swimming in the lake behind the house. Daniel cooking breakfast. And then, the basement door. Mia's breathing turned ragged. There was someone downstairs. Daniel closed his eyes slowly. "Oh God. You told us not to open the basement," Mia whispered. Ethan looked between them desperately. "What happened?" Mia's voice cracked. "We opened it anyway." Thunder exploded overhead, and suddenly Ethan remembered too. A dark staircase beneath the house, water dripping somewhere below, old wallpaper peeling from stone walls, and a woman humming softly in darkness. The memory slammed into him so hard he nearly collapsed. "No." Daniel backed away slowly. "You need to stay upstairs tonight," he warned. "Whatever happens, do not go near the basement." Another sound interrupted him. 3 knocks. From beneath the floorboards, everyone froze. Knock, knock, knock. Then a woman's voice drifted upward. "Mia." Mia burst into tears instantly. "She knows my name." The knocking continued, slow, patient. "Mia." Ethan grabbed her shoulders. "We're getting out now." He rushed to the front door again and slammed his shoulder into it repeatedly. Nothing. It felt welded shut. Daniel whispered behind them, "It won't open until morning." Ethan turned furiously. "You locked us in." "I didn't." The temperature inside the house dropped suddenly. Cold breath fogged in the air. The lantern dimmed. Then upstairs, a door creaked open slowly. Footsteps began descending the staircase. Wet footsteps, one at a time. Ethan looked up. A woman stood halfway down the stairs. Long black hair hung over her face. Water dripped from her pale dress onto the wooden steps. Her head tilted unnaturally sideways. Mia whimpered. Daniel whispered, "Don't look directly at her." But Ethan couldn't stop staring. Something about her face beneath the hair felt horribly familiar. The woman spoke softly. "You left me." Mia buried her face against Ethan's chest. The woman descended another step. Water pooled beneath her feet. "You promised you'd stay." Daniel backed toward the fireplace, trembling violently. She wasn't like this before. Lightning flashed. For one terrifying second, Ethan saw her face clearly. It was Mia, or something wearing Mia's face. Same eyes, same mouth, rotting, drowned. Mia screamed as if she'd seen it too. The creature smiled. Then every light in the house exploded simultaneously. Darkness consumed everything. Ethan heard Daniel shouting somewhere, furniture crashing, wet footsteps sprinting across the room impossibly fast. Then Mia was ripped from his grasp. He heard her screaming in darkness. "Maya!" Ethan lunged blindly forward and slammed into a wall. His flashlight spun across the floor. In its rotating beam, he caught horrifying glimpses. The creature dragging Mia toward the hallway, Daniel striking it with the lantern. a face opening impossibly wide. Then darkness again. Ethan grabbed the flashlight and ran after them. The hallway stretched ahead toward the basement door, wide open. Cold air pouring upward. Mia screamed below. Ethan raced down the stairs 2 at a time. The basement smelled like stagnant water and decay. The flashlight beam shook violently in his hands. Stone walls, rusty pipes, ancient wooden furniture covered in sheets. And at the far end, a flooded room. The creature stood waist-deep in black water, holding Mia tightly. Mia cried desperately while the thing wearing her face stared at Ethan. "You came back," it whispered. Ethan stepped forward carefully. "Let her go." The creature smiled wider. "You already did this." Fragments slammed into Ethan again. Their first stay, exploring the basement, finding the flooded room, hearing crying in darkness, and Mia stepping into the water, then the creature rising behind her. Ethan remembered panic, running, Daniel screaming at them to leave, and afterward, forgetting. The creature whispered softly, "She belongs here now." Mia sobbed. "Ethan." He waded into the freezing water. The creature's face twitched violently between Mia's features and something rotten beneath. "You left me alone," it said. Then Ethan remembered the final missing piece. 2 years ago, they hadn't escaped alone. There had been another girl staying in the house, a backpacker named Claire. The thing in the water had taken her, and when Ethan and Mia fled in terror, they left her behind. The creature smiled slowly. Claire's voice emerged beneath Mia's. "You never came back for me." Ethan felt sick. Oh my God. The flooded water suddenly began rising, fast. Daniel appeared at the basement stairs shouting, "You have to leave now." The creature screamed, not human. A deafening shriek that shook the walls. Water burst upward from the floor like geysers. Mia broke free briefly. "Ethan!" He grabbed her arm. The creature lunged instantly. Its fingers wrapped around Ethan's wrist with impossible strength, and suddenly he saw everything. Every cycle, every return, guests trapped in repeating memories, the house feeding on guilt, fear, and unfinished terror. People forgetting because remembering was worse. The creature hissed in Claire's broken voice. "You left me here." Ethan looked directly into its face. "I know." Then he grabbed a nearby lantern from the flooded shelf and smashed it into the creature's head. Flames erupted across oily water instantly. The basement exploded into chaos. The creature shrieked as fire spread rapidly. Daniel screamed for them to run. Ethan dragged Mia toward the stairs while flames consumed the flooded room behind them. The entire house groaned violently. Walls cracked, pictures fell. They burst through the front hallway as smoke filled the air. And suddenly, the front door swung open by itself. Rainstorm winds blasted inside. Daniel remained near the staircase, staring back toward the basement. "Aren't you coming?" Ethan shouted. Daniel looked at them sadly. "I can't leave." "Why?" His eyes filled with exhaustion. "Because I never did." Then Ethan understood. Daniel wasn't trapped in the house. He was part of it. Another echo, another memory repeating forever. The basement screamed again. The walls shook violently. Daniel smiled faintly. "Maybe this time it ends." Then the lights went out permanently. Ethan and Mia ran into the storm. Behind them, the old house burned against the rain-filled darkness, flames flickering through windows while thunder crashed overhead. They drove for hours without speaking. Neither looked back. Weeks passed, then months. Neither of them spoke much about Florida afterward, until one night 6 months later. Mia sat awake in bed, scrolling through old photos on her phone. Then she froze. A new image had appeared in her gallery, time-stamped that same night. It showed Ethan asleep beside her in bed, taken from the bedroom doorway. Mia's hands trembled. She zoomed in slowly, At the edge of the photo stood a reflection in the mirror, a woman with wet black hair covering her face, and underneath the image, a caption appeared that neither of them had typed. "Welcome back.